Discover the incredible moment when my sister accidentally sprayed my son's eyes. It changed everything. Sarah stood in the kitchen, the delightful aroma of barbecue wafting through the open windows. The sound of laughter from the backyard mingled with the excited chatter of kids racing around with sticky popsicles. This was the dream summer gathering, her small home buzzing with the warmth of family and friendship. She glanced at her 8-year-old son Jake, sporting his favorite dinosaur t-shirt, busy playing with his cousins. In that moment, she felt the weight of her world lift, if only for an afternoon. But as she poured lemonade into plastic cups, Sarah's sister, Jessica, breezed in with an eagerness that had always been both a blessing and a curse. "Just a quick cleanup," Jessica said, brandishing a bottle of kitchen cleaner. Her cheeks flushed with enthusiasm. Sarah's heart sank with a mix of pride for her sister's spirited nature and the familiar pang of annoyance. They'd never been an easy pair, and the years playing second fiddle in their childhood lingered like an old bruise. And then chaos. One moment, Jake was laughing with his cousins, and the next, Jessica accidentally sprayed him straight in the eyes. The world turned upside down. "Mom, it hurts." Jake's voice cut through the laughter like an alarm bell, a plea sharpened by confusion and fear. Sarah's chest tightened. She rushed sprinted toward the commotion, her heart pounding like a drum. "Why would you do that?" she cried, her protective instincts surging to a boiling point. Jessica flinched, her face falling. The laughter subsided. A cacophony of horror brewed in the air. The backyard transformed into a storm of panic. Sarah gripped her son's shoulders, his wide eyes shimmering with tears reflecting her anguish. "It's okay, buddy. I'm here," she whispered, battling the hurt that stirred between her and Jessica. Just then, the neighbor, a gentle war veteran with a weathered smile, stepped out of the shadows. "Let us calm this mighty storm," he said softly, as though he were accustomed to soothing raging tempests. His tales of resilience and family echoed in their ears like a balm. That day, amidst tears and apologies, he reminded them of the sacrifices woven through familial threads. It was what held people together in times of crisis. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In the lingering silence, Sarah and Jessica exchanged looks that spoke volumes. Hurt, regret, but deep down, an ember of understanding. Yet, the shadows of their past hung in the air like storm clouds. Jake, innocently caught between his mother's anger and his aunt's mortification, blinked as he tried to understand. Could their love really mend, or were the fractures too deep to heal? With the weight of unresolved emotions forming a knot in her throat, Sarah realized. It may just take a moment like this, an incident unexpected, to unearth the truths they kept buried. As the sun dipped low and painted the sky with hues of orange and pink, a question hung faintly in the air. Could they face their differences and emerge stronger? Or would this all pull them apart further? The chatter gradually returned, but the laughter was different, tinged with an uncertainty that made Sarah fidget. She knelt in front of Jake, now in the arms of her husband, Brian, who was wiping his face gently with a damp cloth. The tears glistened in the sunlight, and for an instant, Sarah felt the weight of her son's pain more than she could bear. "Mommy," Jake muttered, his small voice trembling. "I know, buddy. It's going to be okay," she reassured him, her own heart aching. She glanced at Jessica, who stood frozen, still clutching the bottle of cleaner, her face a mix of devastation and guilt. The stain of that simple accident seeped deep into the fabric of their day, a day meant for joy, now torn by mishap. I'm so sorry," Jessica finally managed to stammer. She glanced at Jake, who winced at every small movement. "I didn't mean to, I swear." The desperation in her voice made Sarah's heart twist. And yet, beneath the anger, A flicker of empathy ignited. Jessica truly hadn't meant it, just like Sarah had never meant to spend so many years holding on to the past grievances. How strange it was to realize that they were both shaped by the same childhood storms, yet fighting battles against each other instead of alongside. Why did you have to do that? Sarah's words came out harsher than intended, like a twig snapping underfoot, causing Jessica to shrink back, her chin quivering. Just then, the neighbor walked over, now kneeled beside Jake with an air of calm that seemed to wrap around them like a soothing blanket. Kids are tough. Just give it a minute, he said, his voice steady, the years etched into every crease of his smile. Sometimes we hurt each other without meaning to. It doesn't always have to break us. Sarah took a deep breath, the tension in her shoulders easing as the warmth of the neighbor's words sunk in. She had to admit, she was as much part of the problem as Jessica had ever been. Jake blinked up at his mother, and his small hand reached out to her. Can we go back to playing? I want to be a dinosaur again, he said, his innocence cutting through the thick air. Sarah felt her heart swell and break all at once. Of course, buddy. Let us get you cleaned up. As she helped Jake stand, and Brian wrapped his arms around them both, she shot Jessica a look that spoke of the unspoken promise to navigate their way through this mess together. It was time to start anew. A sudden screech echoed from the play area, and the kids were back to running and laughing again, the shouts of joy bouncing around the yard. Sarah felt a smile tugging at the corners of her mouth, almost reluctant to return but grateful all the same. Let South clean this place up, Jessica said, the sincerity of her tone carrying hope. Together? Sarah replied, raising an eyebrow. Jessica nodded, her eyes shining with a flicker of courage. As they began to fill the red bucket with stray toys and napkins, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that, perhaps, this was a turning point, a chance to reshape their relationship. They could learn from this accident, just as easily as they could heal. But with every flick of a towel and every bit of discarded rubbish that landed in the bucket, a question loomed large. Was it enough to simply mend things on the surface, or were they brave enough to dig deeper, unearthing painful truths that could either tear them apart or solidify their bond more than ever before? With the sun beginning to set, casting a golden glow over everything, they faced each other and smiled. But the weight of those unanswered questions hung in the air. One thing was certain: this was only the beginning. As the afternoon faded into evening, the golden light seemed to soften the edges of the chaos they had just experienced. Sarah and Jessica continued their task of tidying up, an almost ceremonial act that somehow lightened the weight of the moment. Every toy they picked up was a step toward newfound understanding, a small victory against the history that had clouded their friendship. Thanks for helping, Jessica said, her voice steadier now, the guilt slowly giving way to hope. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I really didn't. I know, Sarah replied, her heart still trembling slightly with the remnants of earlier emotions. It was just a mistake. We all make them. The tension of the day hung in the air, but now it felt different, laced with the possibility of a deeper connection. As they worked, they began to share stories, laughter bubbling to the surface among the remnants of their earlier strife. Remember when we all thought we could build that treehouse? Jessica chuckled. That thing ended up being more of a tree hazard than a house. Yeah, you ended up stuck in there longer than I care to remember, Sarah laughed. And Mom had to call the fire department to get you down. Both women erupted in laughter, the kind that was woven with strands of memory and sisterhood. The sound felt new and light, washing away the storm that had loomed just hours before. Jake and his friends played nearby, their shouts full of laughter. Sarah caught a glimpse of her son, his face glowing with happiness, as he raced around pretending to roar like a dinosaur. In that moment, the chaos of the day seemed to recede just enough to see how truly precious these moments were. Can we really move past this? Jessica asked suddenly, her expression shifting, vulnerability flooding her gaze. I mean, can we just start over? Sarah paused, placing a toy in the bucket. The question hung between them, heavy with meaning. I want to, she admitted. But it's not just about cleaning up the mess today. There are things we need to talk about between us, right? Things we've let fester, Jessica sighed, her brow furrowing. You know, we did grow up together in this world of challenges, yet it felt easier to push each other away. Yes, Sarah interrupted gently, but pushing each other away only led to more misunderstandings. We need to face the real issues. It's not easy, but we've got to try. The sun was dipping lower now, casting long shadows across the yard, and the scent of freshly cut grass mixed with the lingering smell of the cleaner that still clung to the air. It was a reminder of just how far they still had to go. Maybe we can do it together, Jessica suggested, a hint of determination in her voice. Like a team. Like a team, Sarah echoed, nodding her head, feeling a sense of unity growing. Just then, Jake charged towards them, eyes wide with excitement. Mom! Jessica! Look at me! Both women turned just in time to see him tumble to the ground, grass and giggles flying everywhere. Oh no! Sarah exclaimed, rushing over, but a smile spread across her face as she reached her son. Mommy! I'm a triceratops! Jake giggled, his innocence shining through. Sarah couldn't help but wrap her arms around him, embracing the moment, a warmth blooming in her heart. Jessica joined them, softly chuckling, and together they formed a small circle, laughing as they played along with Jake. Maybe healing was about more than just facing the past, it was also about finding joy in the present. However, as they continued to enjoy this newfound camaraderie, a shadow of doubt crept into Sarah's mind. Could they truly confront the deeper issues still lurking beneath the surface? With every laugh shared, the question loomed larger. Were they ready to face the truth together? Or would that truth be more than they were prepared to handle? That night, as the stars twinkled above, they each felt the threads of their fates intertwining. But with the weight of unspoken words heavy in the air, something had to give. Would they find the courage to face what lay beneath the laughter? Or would the lightness of the moment fade with the sunset? The next day dawned brighter than Sarah had anticipated. The lingering guilt from yesterday was still there, but the promise of a fresh start hung in the air like the sweet scent of dew. She grabbed her phone to check for messages, hopeful for nothing but encouragement. Hey, are we still on for coffee? Jessica's text lit up the screen. Sarah's heart raced. It was one thing to laugh together, but this invitation felt different. Tinged the air with a mix of excitement and fear. Taking a deep breath, she replied, Absolutely, let us talk. As they met at the local cafe, the familiar sound of the barista's cheerful chatter soothed Sarah's nerves. The smell of fresh coffee enveloped her. But today it was not just about the drink. It was about facing the truth together, a truth she'd hardly dared to speak of lately. Jessica arrived, a big smile on her face, and Sarah couldn't help but feel a rush of warmth at the sight. After the chaos of yesterday, there was something unbreakable in their bond now. They ordered their coffees and found a cozy corner table, shielded from the rest of the world. Thanks for doing this, Jessica said, stirring her drink gently. It's nice to find a moment to breathe. Sarah nodded, feeling her chest tighten. I've been thinking about everything. The past years, the distance between us. It's time we really talk about it. Jessica met her gaze, her eyes serious but filled with a flicker of hope. Yeah. Feels raw, doesn't it? We both messed up a lot. The words hung heavy, but there was something liberating about saying them. We have, but we can't keep hiding it. We need to look back to move forward, Sarah urged, her voice shaking slightly with emotion. I know, Jessica replied quietly. I didn't mean to push you away. I thought I was protecting myself. But instead, I just ended up losing you as a friend. They both sipped their coffee, and in that moment, a silence stretched between them, a silence filled with unfulfilled promises and memories of shared laughter, of dreams dashed and hearts healed. What do we do now? Sarah asked, peering into Jessica's eyes, searching for guidance. Let us start small, Jessica suggested, her brow softening. How about we commit to honesty? I mean, really honest conversations. And maybe share things we've been most afraid of? Sarah thought for a moment. There were so many layers of hurt wrapped around their friendship. Okay, I'll start. I think I felt so betrayed when you chose to take sides in that argument with Mark. Jessica looked taken aback. I didn't realize it affected you like that. I thought it was just a moment. I know. But it became more than just an argument to me. Felt like you didn't trust me, Sarah admitted. The weight of her words had the power to draw out all the buried emotions. Jessica's eyes glistened, and for a moment, it felt as though the room had faded away, leaving just the two of them standing in the wreckage of their past. I was scared too. What happens if we bring all those old things to light? Can we really heal from them? That question trailed off, resonating deeply between them, hanging in the air around their coffee cups. Would these truths bind them closer, or tear them apart? The thought was both haunting and exhilarating. Maybe we could even make a list things we need to confront, and one by one, tackle them, Sarah suggested, cautious yet optimistic. Or we could just throw them all in the air and see what happens next. Jessica laughed lightly, but the sincerity in her tone was undeniable. Sarah chuckled softly, but apprehension filled her heart. The truth was a slippery creature, and the thought of unearthing buried feelings was intimidating. Would they find clarity or just revive the ghosts of misunderstandings? As they finished their coffees and prepared to leave, Sarah's heart thudded loudly in her chest. This was a journey they were only beginning. Could they trust one another in this quest for honesty? Or would the shadows of their past continue to loom larger? The world outside felt different as they stepped into the daylight. World full of uncertainties beckoned. Would this honesty lead them into the light? Or was it merely a stepping stone to a darker path they weren't prepared to face? The sun blazed as they walked out of the cafe, its warmth wrapping around them. But a chill of uncertainty lingered in Sarah's gut. What if their attempts at honesty only deepened the rift? Jessica hugged her arms, her brow furrowing slightly. Want to take a stroll? I think some fresh air might help clear our heads, she suggested. Sure, Sarah replied, the idea sounding both comforting and terrifying. They meandered along the busy street, the sound of footsteps mingling with laughter from nearby parks. As they walked, deep in thought, Sarah observed people around them. Families bustling by, couples sharing whispers, friends intertwined in conversations that seemed buoyant and carefree. Felt so inviting yet so out of reach. I hate feeling this way, Sarah suddenly blurted, startling Jessica out of her reverie. I want our friendship back, but it feels like we're standing on a cliff, ready to jump into the unknown. Jessica stopped and faced her. That's the reality of it, I assent it. Jumping means trusting the other person to catch you. Vulnerability is terrifying, but maybe it's what we need. I guess, Sarah pondered, biting her lip. It's just hard to shake off those past resentments. Each little thing is like a pebble that's turned into a rock over time. How do we even begin to mend it? I think we start by naming those pebbles, Jessica said quietly, addressing each little thing so they don't become boulders. It'll be tough, but I believe we can lift each other. Sarah nodded, feeling a mix of gratitude and trepidation. You're right. Maybe we can even hold each other accountable as we go. Like, I don't know, a pledge or something. Jessica laughed softly, her humor a bright spot among the shadows. Let us call it a friendship contract. Less legal jargon, more heart talk, though. I like that, Sarah chuckled. Let us be each other's support. Push through the uncomfortable bits. As they resumed walking, Sarah spotted an old swing set in a park they used to visit as kids. Do you remember that summer when we spent every day here? She asked, nostalgia tugging at her heart. We de-swing until we were dizzy, making up stories about faraway lands. Jessica smiled, eyes sparkling at the memory. And we'd conquer dragons and save kingdoms. Felt so easy, then why does it all feel so complicated now? Growing up, I guess? Sarah shrugged. But maybe we can create a new story. Take what we loved about those days and carry it forward. New castles, new dragons to face. Jessica's grin widened. The sunlight danced around them as they paused by the swings, Sarah pushing one gently with her foot. It creaked softly, echoing their laughter from years past. I wonder, can we truly reclaim the magic from our past? Sarah mused aloud, staring at the swings soaring rhythmically. I think it takes work, and we need to be patient with ourselves, Jessica replied, the seriousness of her tone grounding Sarah. Honesty takes courage, even the hard stuff. But I'm committed if you are. In that moment, she felt a rush of affection for her friend. Okay, let us do it. Just then, Jessica's phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out, glancing at the screen before her face paled. Oh no, it's Mark. Mark? The guy from our argument? Sarah's heart sank. Yeah. I wasn't expecting to hear from him right now. Jessica's voice trailed off, tension creeping back into the air between them. Maybe it's something good? Sarah offered, fighting the unease swelling within her. I don't know, Sarah. I'm scared. Jessica bit her lip, looking torn. What if this throws a wrench into everything we just started? As Sarah watched out cloud Jessica's features, the warmth of their earlier bonding began to wane. Would this message undo all the progress they were trying to make? The air felt thick with uncertainty once more. Could they handle the unexpected twists still looming ahead? Would they retreat or rise together in this moment of vulnerability? Jessica's hand shook slightly as she stared at her phone, the glow reflecting her uneasy expression. The words flashed across the screen, and it felt like they were pulsing in time with her racing heart. I can't believe it's him, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Do you want to read it? Sarah asked gently, stepping closer to her friend. Uncertainty rolled off Jessica like fog on a cold morning. I don't know. Jessica closed her eyes momentarily, as if bracing for impact. What if it's about what happened? What if he blames me? I can't deal with that now. The thought of Mark's voice echoing their recent argument sent a shudder down Sarah's spine. Whatever it is, we can face it together. Remember our friendship contract? With a deep breath, Jessica opened the message. Words emerged, mixing hope and fear. Says she gulped. He wants to talk. About us. He says he is sorry for how things ended. Is that a good sign? Sarah's fingers twitched with impatience. Maybe, but I don't know if I can trust him. Jessica clutched the phone tighter as if it were an anchor in a storm. Trust is hard, especially when it's about something that hurts so much. Sarah wrapped her arms around herself, the memories of the argument still sharp in her mind. How do you feel? Jessica hesitated, the silence slowly swelling between them. Part of me wants to reply to understand why he's reaching out. But part of me fears that digging it up will just open the wounds wider. Maybe that's where the vulnerability comes in, Sarah said, hoping to break through to her. If you don't have this conversation, doesn't he keep you stuck? You deserve to move forward. I know it's just all so confusing, Jessica admitted, her eyes searching Sarah's for reassurance. What if I say the wrong thing? What if things just get messy? The thought tightened in Sarah's chest. Diving into unresolved feelings with Mark felt like walking a tightrope. But for Jessica, this rippling uncertainty was heavier than any doubt Sarah had ever felt. This was their friendship built on honesty, and now vulnerable to external storms. Just think about it. Sarah paused and watched families walking by, the sun now dipping lower in the sky. Do you want to reply? You're in control here. Jessica took another deep breath, her brows knitting in concentration. Maybe I should. Maybe it's time to address the pebbles. She hesitated, yet her eyes lit up with the potential for closure. But how, Sarah? What do I even say? Be honest. Just like we promised, Sarah encouraged, squeezing Jessica's shoulder gently. Tell him how it affected you. Don't hold back. You're stronger than you realize. Tears blurred Jessica's eyes, and she blinked them away. Okay, I'll be brave. I just hope it doesn't throw us off balance again. As she began to type, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that there were other rocks buried deep within them, both things left unsaid in their current atmosphere of newfound honesty. She watched Jessica's brow furrow in concentration, the tension palpable as small words held the power to shift their entire dynamic. Then she felt her own phone buzz. Heart racing, she glanced down. It was a reminder her mom's birthday was approaching. Shannon would be hosting the family gathering next weekend. The thought alone caused a new wave of anxiety to wash over her. Oh no, Jess, we need to start planning that too. Jessica glanced up, a question in her eyes. Planning? We have to navigate family dynamics too, remember? What if our leeway here it all collides there? Jessica kept typing, But the uncertainty was back, like a cloud hanging over their conversation. We can be honest there too, right? Your mom cares about us. Yeah, she does, but Sarah's mind was racing with thoughts of navigating the minefield of her family's expectations. What if Mark's message is just the tip of the iceberg? As Jessica hit send, both women clung to the latent tension, wondering what wave would wash over their already shifting world next. There, on the cusp of a new chapter, both felt the weight of unresolved emotions, a tide, pulling in two different directions. Could they maintain this fragile balance? Or would old wounds resurface, unearthing more than they ever bargained for? The sun slipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden light that softened the edges of the day. Jessica stared at her phone, heart pounding as seconds stretched. She had just sent her message to Mark, and now there was only silence. What felt like a moment collapsed into eternity. Did you do it? Sarah's voice sliced through the stillness as she peered at her friend, anxiety threading her words. Yeah, I sent it. Jessica's words were punctuated with a gulp. Now what? Now we wait? Sarah offered, but her voice wavered, revealing her own nerves. Just then, Jessica's phone vibrated again, sending a jolt through them both. The screen lit up with Mark's name. Jessica's stomach twisted as she glanced at her friend. What if this is it? What if it's bad? Or it could be a step towards healing. Sarah replied, trying to sound hopeful even as her eyes betrayed her apprehension. Taking a shaky breath, Jessica swiped the screen open. As she read Mark's reply, her emotions fluttered between relief and apprehension. He wants to meet in person. He says he can't explain everything over text. Meeting like in person? That's huge, Sarah said, her eyes widening with concern. Are you ready for that? Jessica frowned, twisting a loose strand of hair around her finger. I guess it depends. I mean, part of me wants closure, but another part feels like stepping into a battlefield. I haven't seen him since the explosion. I get that. There was an underlying heaviness in Sarah's voice. But what if he has changed? That's the question, isn't it? Jessica sighed, her heart stepping into a whirlpool of what-ifs. He could be sorry, but I can't forget how bad things got. Sarah shot her a gentle look. You're stronger now. You've had time to distance yourself. Maybe it's not just about him changing, but how you've grown too. Jessica felt a warm flush traveling from her cheeks to her heart. You really think so? I know so. Sarah smiled, and a weight shifted in the air. This could be your opportunity to bring all that vulnerability we talked about. You owe it to yourself. Just then, Jessica's phone buzzed again. This time it was a memory photos of happier days, dusty corners of her mind where laughter echoed. She hesitated, hovering her finger above the screen. A smile broke across her face as a sweet memory surfaced, the two of them, Mark and Jessica, standing on a sunlit beach, their laughter mingling with the sound of waves. What are you thinking? Sarah asked, noting the flicker of something behind Jessica's eyes. Just remembering the good times. I don't know if I'm ready to let all that go. Jessica bit her lip. But I also don't want to dwell on it. Maybe you don't have to choose between closing doors and opening windows, Sarah suggested softly. What if coming face to face with him helps you understand what you want? Jessica pondered this, her heart fluttering with hope yet tinged with fear. She glanced at Sarah, and a moment of understanding passed between them. Okay, I'll do it. I'll meet him. Sarah leaned closer. Are you sure? We can come up with excuses. Twist that into a family gathering if you want. Doesn't feel right. I need to handle this my way. A flash of determination ignited in Jessica as she began to type. Just hope I don't break down in front of him. You won T. Sarah squeezed her shoulder. You'll be okay. Just be you. As Jessica hit send, a calmness washed over her, steadier than the uncertainties she had been wrestling with. But then, from somewhere in the back of her mind, a darker thought crept in. What if this was the moment that would change everything? Are you nervous? Sarah asked, sensing the shift. Terrified, Jessica admitted, her facade cracking just a little. But I think it's time to face this, whatever happens next. Right? Right. Sarah nodded. But beneath her confidence, She felt a rush of anxiety. Let us hope for the best. But just remember you can't go back. Jessica finished, the words heavy between them. In that moment, the horizon darkened, and both women sensed a storm brewing. The thought hung in the air. Were they truly ready for what was to come? Would this raw encounter unveil old wounds, or lay the foundation for healing? The day arrived too quickly. Jessica could hardly eat breakfast. The toast sat untouched, the bowl of cereal now a soggy mess. Instead, her mind was clouded with nerves, spiraling with thoughts of Mark. Would he be different? Would he apologize? Or would he remind her of all the pain? Jess, are you ready? Sarah's voice broke through her thoughts. She stood in the doorway, a worried smile on her face. Ready as I'll ever be, Jessica replied, forcing a smile, even as her stomach churned. Her eyes flickered to the clock, each tick slicing through the silence. You'll do great. Remember, it's just a conversation. You're not signing your life away. Just talk, right? Yeah, just talk. Easy. But her heart felt the weight of that simplicity. When the time came, she found herself standing outside the cafe they used to love. Outside, life bustled on, oblivious to the battle going on inside her head. The scent of coffee and fresh pastries wafted through the air, beckoning and comforting all at once. With each step inside, the world around her dimmed. The noise faded, and her focus sharpened. She spotted him sitting at a corner table, fingers wrapped around a cup, rituals of an old habit more powerful than time itself. Hi, she said, trying to keep her voice steady. Mark looked up, a flicker of recognition in his eyes that shifted almost immediately to uncertainty. Hey Jess, thanks for meeting me. Guess we really needed to talk, she said, taking the seat across from him, her palms sweaty against the cool table. An awkward silence settled between them, filled only by the bubbling laughter of other patrons wielding their coffee cups like shields. Jessica shifted, her heart pounding. Mark finally spoke, his voice barely breaking through the cafe hum. I can't believe it's been so long, Jessica nodded, feeling that familiar pull of nostalgia and hurt. Yet time just kind of passed. A bit too quickly. I know. His eyes dropped to the table. I was wrong. About everything. I was scared. I didn't handle it right. His words sliced through her. Did he really mean it? Or was this just another layer of the same old story? She wanted to be angry. She wanted to shout. But instead, she felt that fragile heart of hers cracking open again. Being scared doesn't erase what happened. Mark. I was scared too. But you didn't just walk away. You exploded everything we had. She managed, her voice trembling with emotion. I never wanted to hurt you, he said. And for a moment, his eyes shimmered with sincerity. If I could take it all back, I would. Jessica swallowed hard, feelings tumbling over each other. You can't take it back. And I don't even know if I can forgive that. Maybe we don't need to go back. We can try to create something new, something better. There was hope in his voice, a kindness that pulled at her insides. A part of her wanted to leap. Another part hovered in fear. And what if I can't? What if you're just saying what I want to hear? Then take your time. I'll be here, he replied softly, vulnerable and raw. The tension between them simmered, memories crashing like waves. Jessica remembered the laughter, the warmth, the little things that felt so far away now. But could she let herself begin again? As she gazed into his eyes, a flood of emotions rolled through her: confusion, rage, longing, and a flicker of hope. Maybe we do try. But nothing guarantees we won't get hurt again, she finally said, her voice steadying. Then let us promise to be honest this time. No more running away, just being real. Jessica nodded slowly, a shiver of anticipation slicing through her. The heavy stakes of their conversation settled like lead in the pit of her stomach. She was standing at a precipice, about to make a choice that could redefine everything. Real, huh? She repeated, feeling the weight of those words. But just then, an urgent vibration jolted her phone. She glanced down to see a frantic message from Sarah flashing on the screen, a call for help. What is it? Mark asked, noticing the shift in her expression. I need to go, she stammered, her heart racing. What? Now? Just when it's Sarah. Something's wrong, I have to take this. As she rose, leaving unanswered questions behind, Jessica felt the knot in her stomach tighten. What had just begun could very well unravel. Would the storm they had been edging toward blow apart their fragile attempt? Or would this twist lead to greater clarity for both of them? Jessica rushed out of the cafe, her heart pounding, overwhelmed by a swirl of emotions. The moment with Mark, raw and intense, had just begun to ignite old sparks. And now this. She hurriedly unlocked her phone, scanning the message from Sarah again. Urgent. I need you. Please hurry. The world around her blurred as she almost tripped over her own feet. She was sprinting now, adrenaline pumping through her veins as she darted through the crowded streets. People moved past her, completely unaware of her inner turmoil. All that mattered was getting to Sarah. Finally, she reached Sarah's apartment, breathless and anxious. The door was slightly ajar, and she pushed it open without knocking. Inside, the scene was chaotic. Sarah was crouched on the floor, her face contorted in worry. Her teenage son, Alex, sat nearby, holding his eyes tightly closed, tears streaming down his cheeks. What happened? Jessica rushed forward, her voice frantic. I thought the spray was just water, but it was hairspray. Sarah's voice quivered with panic as she glanced at her son. I didn't see it until it was too late. Alex. Jessica knelt beside him, placing a gentle hand on his shoulder. Look at me, buddy. Are you okay? I can't see. He whimpered, his voice cracking. It stings so much. Okay. Okay, let us get you to the bathroom, Jessica said, trying to keep her voice steady despite the whirlwind of fear inside her. She guided Alex as carefully as possible, leading him to the sink. Water splashed as she turned on the tap, feeling an urgency she had never experienced before. Just rinse your eyes. Okay? It'll help. Sarah moved to help, her hands shaking. I'm so sorry. I didn't think just help him. Jessica interrupted, her heart racing. She couldn't focus on anything except Alex's pain and Sarah's guilt. They worked together to rinse his eyes, desperation piercing through the chaos. After what felt like an eternity, Alex finally opened his eyes, the sting subsiding slowly. He looked up at them, confusion giving way to relief. It's still blurry, but you can see a little better, right? Jessica asked, her voice softening, though her heart still raced. Yeah, but what if it doesn't go away? He replied, tears still pooling at the corners of his eyes. Sarah dropped to her knees beside him, holding his hand tightly. We'll go to the doctor if we need to, okay? You're going to be fine, I promise. Jessica felt a tight knot ease a bit in her chest, but worry still loomed large. The weight of everything hung in the air, her conversation with Mark, the uncertainty of their renewed paths, and now Alex's accident. Amidst the chaos, a thought lingered on the edge of her mind. What if these moments weren't just separate events, but pieces of a larger puzzle? As she wiped Alex's tears away with her thumb, the room filled with an uneasy silence. She could almost hear the thoughts bouncing around in her head. She needed to regroup. She needed clarity. But just then, Sarah's phone rang, piercing through the tension. Her face fell as she answered it. What? No, please tell me you're kidding. Jessica turned to watch her friend's expression turn pale. The hairs on her neck stood up. What is it? It's Dad. He's in the hospital. They think it's serious. Shockwave after shockwave hit Jessica. First, Mark, then Alex, and now their father? She felt the ground shifting beneath her feet. Jess? Sarah whispered, desperation flooding her voice. What do we do? Jessica's heart raced again, but this time it felt different. It was a determination rising through the chaos. We need to get to the hospital. Together. Right now. Just like that, decisions were made. Lives once again intertwined in unpredictable ways. Whatever uncertainties lay ahead with Mark, and whatever healing needed to happen with Alex. Right now, family was their anchor. As they prepared to race out of the apartment, a question lingered in Jessica's mind. Would they face the trials ahead united, or would the strains of the past pull them apart? She resolved that whatever happened next, she would find a way through. For Alex, for Sarah, and for herself. But first, they had to confront the gathering storm waiting for them at the hospital. What awaited them there could change everything once again. The hospital waiting room was stark and sterile, filled with a mix of muted tones and hushed voices. Sarah and Jessica sat side by side, their fingers intertwined in shared anxiety as they waited for news about their father. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting a harsh sheen over their worried faces. Jessica glanced at her sister, a million thoughts swirling in her mind. In that small space, so much had changed in such a short time. Emotions tugged painfully at her heart as she thought about her earlier conversation with Mark. The possibility of forging ahead together now felt overshadowed by their father's health. Sarah breathed out heavily, breaking the silence between them. "I can't believe this is happening." Her voice trembled as raw emotion seeped through the cracks in her facade. "I know," Jessica replied softly, "but we have to stay strong. For Dad." As they waited, Jessica felt the weight of their earlier discussions pressing down on her shoulders. They had vowed to embrace honesty, to face their struggles instead of shying away. And somehow, in this moment marked by fear, that promise felt more urgent than ever. Moments passed with agonizing slowness. Sarah fiddled with her phone, trying to distract herself from the uncertainty looming around them. Then, through the glass doors, they saw a familiar figure emerge. Mark walked in, his expression serious but tender. "What are you doing here?" Sarah asked, surprise washing over her face. "I heard about your dad," he said, concern etched into his features. "I wanted to be here in case you needed anything." Jessica felt her heart race. Could she really face him in such a vulnerable moment? The knot in her stomach tightened, but there was something honest in his eyes that made her want to reach out. "Thanks," she murmured, catching Sarah's gaze for reassurance. They were in this together, after all. "Have you heard anything yet?" Mark settled in a seat next to them, his presence a mixed blessing. Felt comforting and chaotic all at once. "No," Jessica replied, her voice catching. "We're waiting." The last word hung in the air, heavy with weight. As silence enveloped them again, Jessica was surprised when Sarah spoke up, her voice steady. "About what we talked about, I really want to try again, Jess. Feels like the right time." Jessica turned to Sarah, a mix of emotions swirling inside her. "You mean between us? We're really going to be honest and rebuild? After all this?" "Yes. It's like we've been given a chance. Maybe this is the moment to finally confront everything. Together." Sarah's eyes sparkled with hope, even amidst uncertainty. Jessica nodded slowly, feeling her heart shift. "You're right. No more running away. Whatever happens, I'm in." They shared a glance that spoke more than words could express, a promise sealed by the love between sisters. "Yeah, let us do this," Mark added quietly, his support grounding them both. Jessica looked at him, surprised at how natural it felt to have him there, and how much she wanted to give this another try. Just then, the double doors swung open, and a doctor stepped through, his face serious yet warm. "If I could have the family of Thomas Roberts," as the doctor approached. A new wave of anxiety washed over them. Jessica gripped Sarah's hand tighter, while Mark shifted forward, ready to support them through whatever was to come. "Thank you for coming," the doctor said, looking between them. "Mr. Roberts is stable now, but he has experienced some complications. We need to discuss the next steps." His words tumbled through Jessica's mind like a steady rain. Everything felt surreal yet incredibly real. They were all here, together, facing this storm as a family, inching past their fears. She glanced at Sarah, and in that moment, all uncertainty melted away. They could do this together. As the doctor shared the plan, anxiety slowly turned into resolve. They listened, seeking clarity, focusing on hope in the face of a storm. And then, they were making choices together, voices rising in unison to fight for their father, no longer standing alone, but united as a family. The connection between them shifted. They were now not just individual pieces of their past but branches on the same tree, with roots intertwined. After the meeting, Jessica turned to Mark, who stood apart, pondering what to do next. Taking a deep breath, she approached him. I know it's been a lot to handle, but I think we need a fresh start. I'm willing if you are. His eyes widened, surprise flickering across his face. But then a soft smile broke through. Yes, I want that too. Together, they took that first step, no longer haunted by echoes of the past but moving forward with intention and understanding. As Jessica looked back towards Sarah, who met her gaze with a radiant smile, she felt something shift within her. Whatever the future held, they were ready. Together, they would face the storms and joys, learning to cherish the growth that came from both. In that crowded hospital, hope began to flourish in the spaces where fear once resided. They stood more than just as sisters and friends. They stood as a family ready to embrace the next chapter, united at last. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is the moment to show your support. Hit that subscribe button to join us for more incredible stories. And if you felt something resonating in this ending, leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others find these journeys. Also, comment below your thoughts and feelings about this transformation. We want to hear from you. Finally, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this inspiring story. Don't wait not even one more second. Join the movement and let us grow this amazing community together.